So, you've been on the internet for a while. You've finally gotten some degree of fame. Maybe you got a successful blog. Or maybe you're a journalist of some kind. Or maybe you got a web review show. At first it seemed like fun, but then you started getting comments filled with the absolute worst kind of bile. So, you decide to block them. And lo and behold, they start talking shit about you on other websites, spreading lies about you. And now it looks like the people who don't even know you are starting to believe them. What do you do about this? Sit back, calm down, and I'll tell you how. They say don't feed the trolls. But when you get to a certain height, you're going to be hearing more and more of this bile from all angles. It can seriously hurt the self-esteem, and what's worse, if you keep hearing the same things over and over again, you might begin to believe them. You'll be tempted to just call the troll out right then and there. Stay calm, there are a few things we have to do first. And the first thing to do is protecting your self-esteem. Yeah, I really mean that. What I personally do is take screenshots of all the heartfelt messages I get. You don't have to keep every thank you, happy birthday, or you're awesome. It's a good idea, but definitely keep the ones that took some time and thought to write. Whenever you're doubtful of yourself, read over these. This kind of stuff has probably become a large part of why you're doing what you're doing. But you didn't have that reason at the start. You were doing this because you had something to say, or you were having fun doing it. But whatever it was, you did have a purpose. Write it down, remember it, along with any other purposes that you've obtained along the way. You make people laugh. You make people think. It keeps people waking up in the morning. It keeps you waking up in the morning. If you think of more reasons, write them down. You might want to keep them nearby because we got some really tough things to do. First, we've got to differentiate between trolls and constructive criticism. You do not listen to trolls, ever, but you try to always listen to constructive criticism. Even if a troll has valid reasons for disliking your videos beyond them disagreeing with your opinion, it isn't worth listening to. Chances are, someone else has said something similar in a less abrasive package and actually wants your videos to get better. So, how do you wean them out? It starts out pretty easy. Don't listen to any comments that are poorly spelled, full of cuss words, assume anything about your sexuality, you know the basics. But beyond that, it really is a case-by-case basis, and unique to whatever you're doing. But you'll eventually know when you screwed up a fact, failed to make a joke work, etc. And trust me, you have done something like that. You're not perfect. The trolls not only expect you to be perfect, but perfect to their vision, and it's not worth trying to please them. That's assuming they're not doing it just because they're bored, or trying to leech attention off of someone bigger than they are. Those trolls are easily dismissed. You know that. We all do. That's where Don't Feed the Trolls fits in. But we're not talking about that here. What if the trolls are legitimately trying to slander you, constantly take potshots at you, derail conversations about you to negativity? Sure, they're pathetic, but it seems like they're doing some serious damage, and God, do they never shut up. Should you just send people after them? I mean, you could do that, and God is it tempting. A troll is like an electronic. It needs attention to constantly feed on for it to work. If you give it no attention, one of your fans might. However, if you give it too much attention, it's going to overload and won't be able to handle it. The troll's fuel is attention. But seriously, overloading them is only as a last resort. I only do this if a few conditions have been met. They insult me directly from various websites, and have proven their inability to be blocked. They do not just talk behind my back. Also, they have to directly say shit to some of my fanbase, specifically for being in my fanbase. If you do this prematurely, they will play the victim, invariably. No matter what death threats, rape threats, or general bile they've thrown your way, to the average onlooker, it's going to look like you just punched the guy who was flicking papers at the back of your neck. What's the first resort then? Defy the trolls by just being. People say that you're not funny? Well, it seems like a lot of people are laughing at your jokes. Not only that, you're striving to be even more funny, right? If not, you should be. It's funny how many of the trolls will complain about problems in your series that you've long since fixed. You may be tempted to read some of your fan response to these trolls. That's not a good idea. It's just gonna go in a loop as they pull more reasons for disliking you out of their ass. It's also very tempting to correct them on how they took what you said out of context or blatantly lied about you. Don't. They don't care about the facts. It's only their opinion that you're the worst person on the internet that matters to them. Speaking of those lies, what can you do about that? Well, one thing you can always do is report them to a moderator. Most sites that aren't 4chan have rules about this kind of stuff. And if you're having this particular problem, then 4chan is a place on the internet you could probably avoid. There is no shame in reporting someone for breaking the rules, even if it's saying bad things about you when it's not relevant. If you feel ashamed for doing it, or maybe the place doesn't have anonymity, get one of those fans who are intent on defending you to report them, provided they hadn't done that already. This kind of stuff is only for the lurkers who will not shut up and will not leave. Are these tactics dirty? Of course they are, but you've got to understand, this is a game where there are no rules. These people specifically want to annoy you at best, and hurt you at worst. Some of these types of trolls will mock suicide. The troll's feelings are not worth taking into consideration. Their thoughts are not worth taking into consideration. They contribute nothing to the conversation except bile and slander. Even if you're the squeakiest clean personality on the internet, they'll find something to shit on you with, even if it's the most mainstream opinion possible that they disagree with you on. But what if you're not the squeakiest clean personality on the internet? I'm not talking about getting a minor fact wrong or putting a wrong clip in a review. You did something really bad, and these trolls use it as ammunition in each and every conversation they're in. It's pretty much, hi! Did you know that Internet Person 1 shouted some very racist comments? What does that have to do with watermelon farming? Don't tell me what it is, because I probably already know. Everyone already knows. He already told us. Alright, before I continue, let me give you the most important piece of advice. Do not delete the video! Trust me, that's a bad idea. I don't care how much your work has improved since then, or how much this thing is haunting you. Do not delete the video. What happens on the internet has a very large shelf life, and deleting it only makes it longer. That stupid video of you dancing will last longer than the pyramids of Egypt. And deleting the video won't really help, because, let's face it, the trolls have already illegally downloaded it. So yes, I expect you to leave your infamous video there. Leave it wherever you put it up. Don't take it down and edit that thing out, because people will notice its absence. Add an annotation if you have to, expressing your regret or correcting your error. And that is generally a very good idea. But leave the video up. If you are taking it down, you are proving that you have something to hide, something to be ashamed of. But should you be ashamed? It depends on what you did. We all make mistakes. Did you make a factual error? That's not really much of a problem. Was the whole video based on an incorrect fact? That's a major problem, and you should probably do a follow-up video. Were you too harsh? Not harsh enough? Pinpoint exactly what you did wrong and own it. Both own it and own up to it. If you're afraid of this fact, the trolls will use it. What's worse is that they will blow it out of proportion. It's easy to do this. It really is. I'll do it right now. It just involves swallowing some pride. In my Pet Sitter Pal review, I revealed Casey Alexander's Twitter feed, and among other things, called him an idiot. My reasoning at the time was that he showed no regret for writing some of the most infamous episodes of the show, and in fact seemed kind of proud of it. This was out of line of me, especially since some people have been threatening him, not realizing that they were making themselves look like the jackasses I'm talking about here. This was wrong of me, and I deeply apologize. Now it's your turn. You don't have to dedicate a video to it, although you could. You could own up to it in a later video, or you can make a screw-ups video. I don't care. But here's the kicker. Make sure that you really regret doing what you did. Don't do it again for one, and prove that you learned from this. And don't let the trolls force you to reach this conclusion. Reach it on your own, or you're just gonna do it again and you're gonna be back to square one. I think that that's about it. Oh yeah, if you're here on YouTube, you not only have to block their YouTube account, but go to their Google Plus profile and you have to block that too. I hope that this helped a lot, and if there's any other advice you want about this whole internet thing, or just being a critic in general, let me know.